Warning: this video spoils Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and it is also a sequel to my Dragon Quest review, so I recommend watching that one first. Hello dear viewers, and welcome down memory lane. Today, let us go back to the world of the very first JRPG series to see how much it evolved to become much more vast and more epic with Dragon Quest II. This game saw the light of day on January 26th of 1987 in Japan, while in Dragon Ball, Son Goku had a meeting with his deceased grandfather. In the end of the Dragon Quest tale, Pat, the Dragon Slayer, had put an end to the Dragon Lord's life. He was then offered Alefgard's crown by the king himself, which he refused, to explore the world accompanied by Princess Laura. The tale of Dragon Quest II begins 100 years later, as we learn that Pat founded 3 kingdoms on these explored lands. Wait a moment, how does one found a kingdom exactly, if not with weapons and bloodshed? Let us not go down this path any further because the story does not mention it. But let us refer to this character from now on as Pat the Conqueror. In this new introduction, added for the American version of the tale, we can witness one of the 3 kingdoms, Moonbrook, being attacked by the evil priest Hargon, who wants to conquer the whole world. Now it is time for Pat 2, the airplane pilot. Pat 2 is the Prince of Laurasia, and he will need to find his 2 cousins to counter Hargon's foul plans. Okay, let us continue on with better graphics because seriously I can't get used to them. So he leaves the castle of Laurasia to find the Prince of Sumaltria named Cain for this version of the story. After a few training sessions with his blade against whole hordes of monsters and a short stop in the town of Lerisa, he sets foot in the castle of Sumaltria. The king, who can be used as a save point, told Pat 2 that the prince wanted a spring of bravery to hear counsel from the legendary Roto himself. So Pat 2 goes forth, and after that first dungeon he completes without a torch, he learns that Cain wants to join him in his home in Laurasia. As Pat 2 arrives back home, his father tells him that Cain did come, but left back to Sumaltria. And it's in the inn of Lerisa that Pat 2 finds the mage Cain and whacks him in the back of the head. The pair goes on to train for a while and comes back to Laurasia to see that the king seems to have gone completely senile. They then reach the town of Moonpeta, where nothing seems to be out of the ordinary, except they learn that the princess of Moonbrook, here named Maria, has been cursed and was turned into a dog. Pat 2 and Cain save her thanks to the Mirror of Ra, found where 4 rivers meet. It just so happens that Maria is quite a better mage than Cain, who, however, is quite better with weapons. She already knows a better hitting spell than him, and quite soon she learns one of the best spells in her arsenal, the sleeping spell. It puts most monsters to sleep with such an intensity that they do not awaken even when they get hit. Cain, however, can prevent other mages from casting spells. Both do get to learn a lot of powerful spells along the adventure, and they complete each other quite well. Now that Pat 2 has found his cousins, he decides to go back to Lerisa to play a little lottery and see if he could not find some information on Hargon and... Hey, if it isn't a double of Cain over there, let us go greet him. Where's Maria? After sending Maria's father in the afterlife, and tossing themselves down Dragonhorn's tower to cross a river, they reach the coast town of Lupigana, where they save a damsel in distress to be rewarded with a big first in the JRPG world, the boat. From that moment on, the world is theirs to travel on for Pat 2 and his companions. But he begins by setting sail east to the continent of Alefgard, which is practically just as Pat the Conqueror had explored it, and where the king has apparently disappeared. And after beating up a few metal slimes and gods of death, they reach Radatome Castle, where they learn that the king simply lies hidden somewhere. The trio then takes a boat to go where the Dragon Lord's castle once stood. There, they find Roto's sword and the Dragon Lord's great-grandson. He also aids Hargon and tells Pat2 that the group will need 5 crests to be able to vanquish him. And so it begins. How does one go about finding these crests, you might be asking yourself? You do so by looking around for them and by investigating for them. The Star Crest is found in the Faroes to the south of the town of Melkidel that only existed in the time of Pat the Conqueror. The group then rests in an inn and is cursed by Hargon, which actually kills Cain. Only a leaf of the World Tree is able to bring him back to life. They valiantly fight in Derkondal's arena for the Crest of the Moon, and then they take a break from the crests because they lack clues as to their whereabouts. There is supposed to be one in the Fire Monolith, but they are left confused when they notice the lack of options. After they find a few keys scattered everywhere, they opt to upgrade their equipment. According to the voice of the gods, a demon imprisoned in Laurasia should carry Cain's strongest weapon. Actually, it had been a good while since Pat2 saving the Imperial Scrolls of Honor, so let's try again. What? He's not here anymore? Makes sense, I guess. So, the team must find the dewy yarn to weave Maria's best robe. They say it's supposed to be on the 3rd floor of the Dragon's Horn, but again, it is nowhere to be seen. Where could it? So it is by searching, and with the help of a magic flute, that they find the remaining crests. These enable our trio to pray for Rubis, the goddess of good, who will be able to break the illusion of Hargon's castle, which is hidden atop Mount Roan, and can be found thanks to the Statue of Evil, which was found under the sea. The mountain cave defies the sanity of anyone walking into it, and it has many hidden doors, floor traps including one hard to find which leads to Pat2's strongest sword, a labyrinth that will make anyone backtrack again and again, and of course an army of dragons to slay. Once through with this cave, Mount Roan itself is home to monsters vastly more powerful than anything thought up to this point, like these blizzards who can simply vanquish the entire party with one spell. Should there be survivors to this attack, you will have to carry the coffins of their fallen comrades to a resurrecting priest close by. And yes, they really are in coffins. We can assume they just slug these around just in case. So it is on Mount Roan that the group trained for weeks to be able to defeat Hargon. His castle, with the exception of a well-hidden entrance, is like a hallway leading up to him with 3 guardians to protect him. Hargon himself can put the trio to sleep and literally explode the team to death. They are able to defeat the evil priest after a second try thanks to Cain, who is able to silence him. And just before his demise, Hargon summons Maroth, the god of evil, who also falls after a long and arduous battle. The world is saved, monsters disappear, and the nuns seem to be really happy that the world is saved. So, Dragon Quest II, how is it? Well, as you can see, this is practically 2 halves of 2 games. First half, before you get the boat, the game shows us the rope and offers more and more freedom as it goes along. But it always stays caught in a region with a town that includes a save point priest and a few dungeons around. For the second half, the open world with a boat, take yourself a world map because there was one included with the original release anyway. There are a few hints telling you where everything is hidden, but there are a lot of blind search involved. Don't feel bad if you want to use an online guide with this one. If only because the game doesn't tell you about what item does what, and because, seriously, some quests can be quite obscure. I'm certain that the few bugs you could see are due to emulation problems because they are nowhere to be seen in other versions of the game. If you want to play it, the game was renamed Dragon Warrior 2 on the NES. The Super NES version I showed you is not available in the West, but there is a Game Boy version you can get. Your cheapest option is Dragon Quest II, Luminaries of the Legendary Line on iOS and Android. That I didn't show you because a video filmed like that would just suck. From today's point of view, Dragon Quest II is not that interesting to play. Compared to the first game that was, I remind you, the very first JRPG, it is a step forward in terms of scope and length, but it's not a huge leap. Until we see the next step though, on the next episode we'll have some vegetable to toss around. See you then!